Hello there, thanks for joining me once again at my tying bench. In this tutorial I'm going to tie up a fly that you're pretty sure you've probably all heard of, the gurgler. But this is what I call the mouse gurgler. It's just a variation of it that I tied up to represent a mouse. And I used natural gray rabbit zonker fur for the body, and the strip for the tail, and the gray foam for the body and the head. And these can be tied in a variety of different colors. If you're just tying the regular gurgler, when I tie them regular, I just use bucktail, crystal flash in the tail, change up the body of the color, array of different colors of foam. There's no limit of how you can tie these up. But I thought you might like to see how I tie this mouse version up, so I'll get him a device. Fresh hook in, I'll get started here. Now the hook I'm using is a different hook. It's a mustad 34007. It's a stainless steel saltwater hook, and I'm tying on a size 2. So I'll get that locked down in the vise here first thing here. Get that in there nice and secure. Okay. And for thread, I'm using a little heavier thread, using UTC 140 and a tan. So the first thing I'll do is start a thread base on right behind the eye here. I'm going to wrap back here to just about to the barb. Snip off that tag in first here. Okay, then we'll wrap back. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of Zap-A-Gap here and just put a little coat on those thread wraps like so. Okay, now I'm going to wrap back forward a bit. Now I have the tail ready. I just took a natural gray zonker strip and stripped off most of the hair off it, just left a little bit on the end for the tail. Yeah, I don't want that tail to be too long. Put the length of the hook all together, more or less. If you don't want to get it too long, you may get short strikes on it. So I try to keep it fairly short. And I like to go down the bend a little bit with that, because that'll keep it from fouling on you if you go down the bend a little. Okay, now there's the tail on this guy. So I'm going to wrap that up, and I'm going to wrap that there excess skin up the shank quite a ways here. Tie that down, and I'm going to snip off that excess piece. And I'm going to make several nice snug wraps here to secure that down good, just like so. Okay. Alrighty, next is our foam. Now I cut a piece, and I went about the width of the gape of the hook. Here's how I judged it. Then I cut it to a sort of a point here to tie in. It makes it a little easier to tie it in up front. And we'll tie that in. Just keep that sort of folded down over the hook as you tie back. That'll keep it on top for you that way. And we want to come back to just in front of the tail, so you just keep lifting up the foam until you get it right where you want it there. I got to come back a little bit farther on this guy. Couple more wraps yet, and right about there should do it, I believe. Okay, that's got me where I want to be. So now we'll just secure all this foam down nice and tight here. And I'm going to snip that a little bit off there on the end, just a bit, because I don't want too much bulk there towards the eye. And we'll wrap back one more time, and then forward, and then back. Okay. Now for the body, first thing I'm going to do is form a dubbing loop here. You want to get a nice long loop here. So I'm going to try to get the body wrapped up in one loop. Sometimes I have to use 2, and you may have to, but that's no big deal. So we'll make one here first. I'll wrap that forward. Now I have a piece of zonker strip here in my clip. It's just this is just a chip clip, and I'm going to put that in the loop. And I'm going to release that. I'm going to grab a hold of that there. This can be a little tricky sometimes. As you can see, it's already let go on me there, but I'll get it here in a second. Once I get I'm just getting my dubbing spinner on the end here. Yeah, what I'm trying to achieve is to get this in the loop is what I'm doing. I want the whole strip in there. I'll just use my fingers to persuade it. There we go. Just like so. And straighten that all out. As you can see, I have the whole strip in there now, and I'm just gonna, what I'm gonna do now is take my scissors, and what you want to do is trim that hide off of it. Just be very careful you don't cut your thread in the process. We're just gonna go all the way up here and cut the hide section off. Just like so. Just be careful. That's when you want good sharp scissors for this. Helps a lot. Okay, we got that cut off. Alrighty, now I'm just gonna push that up here a little farther and push that fur in nice and close to the loop there. I want the ends quite long on the other end, so push that in close. Just like so here. Nice and close. Alrighty, now I'm going to spin this up here. Once I get these where I want them. Those ones should be pushed in a little bit. Alright, that looks pretty good there. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to begin to spin that. I'll spin it here first, and I'm going to let go. Start to spin that up. A couple more times, we'll do the same thing. Release. A couple more times, release. Now, I'll actually give it one more spin here. Get nice and tight. There we go. Now I just got a little Velcro brush here. I'm going to pick some of that out. Okay, this stuff can be quite messy. Flies all over the place, but okay, now we'll begin to wrap this. And what you want to do is just one wrap right in front of the next. But each wrap I take, I'm going to pull back on it. And I'm hoping this loop will do it. If not, I'll just have to do another loop to finish them up, but this may do it. And we'll just keep wrapping forward here. Pulling back slightly as each wrap. Okay. Yeah, it looks like I may have enough for this guy. Okay. Move my thread here forward a little bit. There we go. And I'll just wrap that. Just keep pushing that back. And just finish up the loop here. One more wrap around and I'll tie that off. Okay, a couple wraps behind and in front. Lock it down. Now I'll snip that off. Okay, that part's done. A couple of securing wraps there. Now I'm just going to take my Velcro brush once again and brush that around just to make sure there's nothing trapped in there too much. Alrighty. Now our next step is to fold over our foam here. Before I do that, what you do is you take your fingers and just move those, part that right down the middle of the fur and sort of push it down towards the bottom because you want that flat surface on the top to fold the foam over here. That's what I want to do. Okay. Now just bring my foam forward like so. Just like that. And I'm going to hold that, pinch it a little bit. Come around with one snug wrap. We'll make 2 or 3 wraps around. And snug it down. Just make sure it stayed on top. Looks good from here. Okay. That looks fine. Okay, now let's make a few more wraps forward here. Okay, nice and tight. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is take the foam. What you do is then fold it, and we're sort of making a little hit on the fly here is what we're doing. This is the part that does all the popping and gurgling when you're fishing the fly. Now we'll wrap that down. Several snug wraps here, nice and tight, just like so. So there's what we got so far. I'm just going to comb that out underneath a little bit there. Okay. Alrighty, that looks pretty good. Okay, so the next step, what I'm going to do here is Take a little bit of super glue, sap a gap on my thread. Put a little bit on. Okay, I'm just going to wrap those wraps right in between there, nice and tight. Let that glue soak in. Then I'm going to lift up on the head here, push it back a little because I want a whip finish in the front. So I'll grab my whip finisher and I'll get 4 or 5 turns in there. That'll prop the head up a little bit too, is what you want. Alright, that should be fine. Okay, snug it down tight and snip that off. Okay, and just push that forward. And as you can see, that propped that up a little bit, and that's what's going to give you your popping and gurgling when it's going through the water. Now this piece here, I'm going to trim it a bit here because we don't want it too long. And I'll trim that off. Then what I'm going to do is cut a V-notch in it. This is sort of to imitate ears, I guess, if you could say that, and then just cut it back up the other way. Same thing. That just gives you a little V-notch like so, and then I'll round those corners off on each one, and just round it off a bit. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. More or less going after that type of look right there. And that guy is done. One last step I like to do is take a little bit of more Zap-A-Gap here, turn it upside down, and if you see any stray fibers, trim them out. And I'm going to take a little bit of glue and put on the bottom thread wraps there, just to make it nice and durable. There we go. And when I came across the top of the thread, I'm going to take my needle here and get a little bit of glue on the needle and go right in between those wraps there, just like so. Just push that down in, and there, it's another finished most gurgler. There we have it. Just going to comb this out a little bit more down underneath there. Just want to brush that out. There we go. I want those, I want it sort of going back is what I'm after. There we go. Well, there he is. A done deal. Gurgler, they're not that hard to tie, gurglers, just, and you can change them up in so many different ways and colors. This one I just come up with to sort of imitate a mouse. We all know that big trout like to eat mice, and it's also very effective for bass. So, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you got these materials, throw a few of these together and give them a try. And if this is your first time watching, if you'd like to subscribe, hit the good old subscribe button and the bell icon to get notifications when I put new videos up. Appreciate that a lot. And until next time, happy tying out there. Stay safe, everyone. I'll see you again soon, and so long for now, folks.